Jiho sat alone in the deep archive room, surrounded by walls of ancient data storage. The year was 2287, and the United Earth Archives occupied 3 underground levels beneath the central city. Most people on Earth had no idea these rooms even existed. Jiho had worked here for 22 years, and he loved it. He loved the quiet. He loved the history. He loved knowing things that nobody else knew. On this particular afternoon, Jiho was searching for something that had bothered him for weeks. A missing file. Not a small file either. Something important. He was 70 years old now, and his eyes were getting tired, but his mind was still sharp. Very sharp. He had been going through records from the early 2160s, the time when Earth first made contact with alien civilizations. Most people thought this was a famous event, well known and well recorded, but Jiho knew better. He knew that most of the real records were hidden away down here. As he searched through encrypted data, something caught his attention. A series of communications marked with old security stamps. They were labeled as Kethrani trade agreements, but something about them felt strange. Jiho had studied the Kethrani before. They were an old civilization, maybe the oldest that Earth had met. But that was more than 100 years ago. Nobody really talked about them anymore. They seemed unimportant now. Jiho pulled up the files. His fingers moved slowly across the old keyboard, activating encryption keys that took several minutes to load. The security system was ancient but still working. Finally, the files opened. What he saw made his heart stop. These were not trade agreements. These were distress signals. The messages were written in old Kethrani language mixed with early human translation attempts. Jiho started reading. His hands began to shake. The signals were recent. Very recent. They were dated from 3 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. The language was clear, even in the bad translation. The Kethrani were asking for help. They were under attack. Their homeworld was surrounded. How did nobody see this? Jiho whispered to the empty room. He kept reading. The signals explained that an alien alliance called the Dominion Collective had attacked Kethrani space. They had destroyed colonies. They had killed millions of people. And the Kethrani were losing. They were losing badly. But then there were older files. Much older. Files from when the Kethrani first met humans back in the 2160s. Jiho read about Kethrani scientists who helped Earth during the resource wars. He read about technology they shared. He read about how they prevented Earth from destroying itself through nuclear weapons. The Kethrani had taught Earth leaders how to make peace. They had shared information about clean energy. They had prevented an extinction event. Without the Kethrani, Earth would have died. The whole human race would have been gone. Jiho stood up from his desk. His old knees made a sound as he moved. He needed to tell someone about this. But who would believe him? Nobody cared about the Kethrani anymore. Earth had moved on. Earth had become strong. Earth had joined the bigger galactic community. Why would anyone care about an old debt? He saved the files to a secure drive and put the drive in his pocket. Then he left the archive. The next morning, Jiho visited his old friend Tae-sung. Tae-sung had been a diplomat back in the day. He would understand. He would remember the Kethrani. They met in a small tea house, and Jiho showed him everything. Tae-sung read the files slowly. He was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had seen many things in his life. When he finished reading, he looked at Jiho for a long time. "This is real," Tae-sung asked. "Very real," Jiho answered. "The signals are still being sent. They are probably sending them still. Why didn't anyone translate these? This is in old Kethrani. Why didn't Earth respond?" Jiho shook his head. Maybe nobody at the archive understood the language. Maybe they filed it wrong. Maybe nobody bothered to check. "I don't know, but we have to tell someone." Tae-sung nodded slowly. "We will need more people. We will need someone from the government, someone from the military, someone from the science people." Jiho thought about this. He knew a woman named Min-ai. She was a brilliant engineer. She worked for Earth Space Development Agency, and he knew a young military strategist named Hae-won. Maybe they could help. Over the next week, Jiho met with Min-ai and Hae-won. He showed them the files. Min-ai's reaction was calm and practical. She looked at the technology being described and nodded. "We could help them," she said, "if we wanted to, but it would be expensive." Hae-won was different. The young strategist looked worried. "If we attack the Dominion Collective, they will attack us back," Hae-won said. "Earth is strong, yes, But we are not ready for a full war. The Kethrani made their choices. They made their own enemies. This is not our problem. Not our problem? Taesung's voice was angry. The Kethrani saved our people. 120 years ago, we were dying. We were going to destroy ourselves. The Kethrani gave us knowledge. They gave us hope. They gave us life. That was a long time ago, Haewon said. Times are different now. But Jiho would not give up. He believed that people needed to know the truth. He believed that humans were good people, and good people remembered their debts. So he did something that he had never done before. He leaked the information to the news channels. He shared the Kethrani distress signals on the internet. He told the story of how the Kethrani had saved humanity. The response was immediate and powerful. People became angry. People became sad. People remembered the old stories their parents had told them about the Kethrani. Young people learned about ancient history in their classes. News programs ran stories all day and all night. Within a week, there were protests in the streets. People held signs that said things like, "Remember the Kethrani," and "Loyalty means something," and "Save the ones who saved us." The Earth Council held emergency meetings. The government had to respond. They could not ignore millions of people demanding action. But still, many leaders hesitated. Many were afraid of the Dominion Collective. Many thought the cost would be too high. Then something important happened. A group of military officers, engineers, and scientists began to volunteer. They said they would help the Kethrani, even if the government would not officially support them. A ship was being prepared. Resources were being gathered. People were willing to sacrifice everything to honor an ancient debt, and it all started because one old man found some forgotten files in a dark archive room deep beneath the earth. Jiho watched the news reports and smiled. History was happening again, and this time he was part of it. Da-young stood in the empty shipyard, looking up at the vessel called the Remembrance. She was a captain in Earth's Space Force, but she was no longer following orders from Earth. Instead, she was following her heart. The Remembrance was not a new ship. It was old and used, but it was strong and it could fly. That was all they needed. Around her, people were working. Engineers were checking the ship's systems. Soldiers were loading weapons and supplies. Scientists were carrying boxes of equipment. Doctors were organizing medical supplies. These were volunteers. These were people who believed in something. Da-young was 40 years old. She had spent her whole life in the military. She had obeyed orders her entire career. But this was different. This was not about following orders. This was about doing what was right. 3 weeks ago, when the Kethrani information became public, the Earth government had officially refused to help. They said it was too dangerous. They said it was not Earth's responsibility. They said it would cost too much. But the government was wrong. Da-young knew it was wrong, and she knew she was not alone. The first person to volunteer was Kyung-ho, a medic who had trained with Da-young years ago. He had simply shown up at the shipyard and said, "I am ready to go." Then came Sun-hee, a young communications specialist who had been following the Kethrani story on the news. She was idealistic and brave. She wanted to make a difference. Then came Il-sung, an older weapons specialist who had retired from the military but still had the warrior spirit inside him. By the end of the first week, they had 500 volunteers. Now in the second week, Da-young was trying to organize everything. She was responsible for 500 lives. They were heading into space, away from Earth, toward a war zone. Many of them might not come back. She felt the weight of this knowledge every day. "Captain," a voice called out. It was Min-ae. The engineer had come from the government offices, taking a leave from her job. "The ship is ready. We have enough fuel for the journey. We have loaded weapons, medical supplies, food, water, and technical equipment. We are ready to leave whenever you give the order." Da-young nodded. "How long until the Earth military tries to stop us?" "I do not know," Min-ae said. "Maybe a few days. Maybe a week. The government is confused right now. The protests are still happening. People are still angry at the government for refusing to help. But eventually they will try to stop us. Then we leave tomorrow," Da-young decided. "At night. Tell everyone." That evening, Da-young held a meeting with her volunteer officers. They gathered in the ship's main conference room. It was a simple room with old metal tables and chairs. These were not fancy military officers. These were regular people who believed in something. Tomorrow night we leave Earth, De Jong told them. We are not doing this because the government asked us to. We are doing this because it is right. We are going to help the Kethrani. We are going to fight against the Dominion Collective. Many of us will probably die. She paused and looked at each person in the room. But we will not die for nothing. We will die to pay back a debt. We will die because our ancestors remember the Kethrani as friends and saviors. We will die because loyalty means something. We will die because we are human and humans do not forget. Kyung-ho raised his hand. I speak for the medical team. We are ready. We will save as many lives as we can. I speak for the engineering team, Min-ae said. We will keep this ship flying. We will keep it strong. We will not let you down. Il-sung, the old weapons specialist, stood up slowly. I have been waiting a long time to do something that means something, he said. His voice was rough from age. Thank you for this opportunity. After the meeting, Da-jung sat alone in her captain's room. She looked at a picture of her family. Her husband, her 2 children. She had left them a letter explaining why she was going. She had explained that she was going to honor the Kethrani. She had explained that this was important. She hoped they would understand one day. She did not let herself cry. A captain could not cry, but she was sad. The next morning, people began boarding the Remembrance. They came from all over Earth. A soldier from Asia, an engineer from Africa, a doctor from Europe, a scientist from America. They came from everywhere. They were all different ages. Some were very young. Some were very old. Some were married. Some had children. Some were alone. But they all shared the same thing. They all believed in loyalty. By afternoon, the ship was full. 500 people, 500 lives. That night, Da-jung gave the order to leave. The Remembrance lifted off from the shipyard. Alarms started sounding on Earth. The government was trying to stop them. But it was too late. The ship was already rising into the sky. Within an hour, they were in space, traveling away from Earth, away from home, toward the Kethrani homeworld. The journey would take 3 months. In those 3 months, many things happened. The military team learned to work together. The engineers fixed problems that nobody expected. The doctors trained for what they might see in the war. The scientists prepared for what they would face. And slowly, the people on the ship became something more than volunteers. They became family. Kyung-ho organized meals where everyone ate together. Sun-hee created entertainment shows to keep people's spirits up. Il-sung taught the younger soldiers about combat and strategy. Min-ae worked with the engineers to improve the ship's weapon systems. Da-jung watched it all happen and felt proud. These people were strong. These people were brave. These people were ready. One night, as the ship traveled through space, Da-jung stood on the observation deck and looked out at the stars. It was beautiful and terrifying. Space was so big. Earth was so far away. The future was so uncertain. Kyung-ho came and stood next to her. Are you afraid? He asked. Yes, Da-jung admitted. I am very afraid. We might all die out here. We might fail to save the Kethrani. We might make everything worse. But you believe it is right to try? Kyung-ho asked. Yes, Da-jung said. I believe it is right to try. Then that is enough, Kyung-ho said. The Remembrance continued its journey through the darkness of space. Inside, 500 volunteers from Earth were ready to fight for people they had never met. They were ready to honor a debt that nobody else remembered. They were ready to show the universe what humans could do when they believed in something. They were ready to change everything. The radio signal came through at 3 in the morning. Sun-hee heard it first. She was working the night shift in the communications room when the message arrived. At first, she thought it was a warning. Maybe the Dominion Collective had found them. Maybe they were about to attack. Then she recognized the language. It was Kethrani. Sun-hee's hands moved quickly across the keyboard. She activated every translation program they had. The message came through slowly, word by word. It was a military patrol. They had detected the Remembrance. They were confused. A ship was coming from Earth. Earth was supposed to be far away. Earth was supposed to be neutral. Sun-hee ran to find Da-jung. She found the captain in the observation room already awake, staring out at the stars. Captain, we have received a message from the Kethrani military, Sun-hee said. They want to know who we are. Da-jung turned away from the stars. What do we tell them? The truth, Sun-hee suggested. Then send the message, Da-jung said. Tell them we are from Earth. Tell them we have come to help. Tell them we remember. Sun He sent the message. For 2 hours there was silence. Then the radio came alive again. This time the message was different. It was formal. It was official. It was from someone very important. The message invited the Remembrance to meet with the Kethrani leadership. But it came with a warning. If this was a trick, if this was an attack, then the humans would be destroyed immediately. The Kethrani had learned to be careful. They had learned to not trust easily. Da Jung called another meeting. She told everyone the situation. They were about to meet the Kethrani face to face. They would have to prove their intentions. Everything depended on this moment. The Remembrance entered Kethrani space 2 days later. It was a tense journey. Every alarm was ready. Every weapon was prepared. Everyone was nervous. But nothing attacked them. Instead, they received a signal to follow a patrol ship. The patrol ship led them to a space station, the last major Kethrani military installation still standing. Da Jung took a small team down to the station. She brought Kyung-ho Il-sung and a young soldier named Seo-jun, who had a gift for languages. When they arrived at the meeting room, they saw the Kethrani for the first time. The Kethrani were tall beings with blue skin and long arms. They had large eyes that showed intelligence and sadness. They looked tired. They looked like they had been fighting for a very long time. An older Kethrani stepped forward. His name was Kethnar. He was the last surviving member of the Kethrani Council. He looked at Da Jung with those large, sad eyes. "You are from Earth," Kethnar said in English. His accent was old, from another century. "Why have you come?" "We came to help," Da Jung said simply. "We came because the Kethrani saved our people a long time ago. We came to repay that debt." Kethnar looked confused. "But this was many years ago. Your people have forgotten. They do not remember us. I have waited many years for Earth to answer our calls for help, but nobody came." "I know," Da Jung said. "Our government forgot. But we did not. We have not forgotten." Kethnar looked at the humans carefully. He looked at Il-sung, the old warrior. He looked at Kyung-ho, the doctor. He looked at Seo-jun, the young soldier. He looked at Da Jung, the captain. "You came to fight," Kethnar said. It was not a question. "Yes," Da Jung answered. "We came to fight." For a long moment, Kethnar was silent. Then tears started to fall from his large eyes. "Thank you," he said simply. "Thank you for remembering." From that moment, everything changed. The Kethrani brought the Remembrance into their military alliance. They shared information about the Dominion Collective. They explained the situation. The Dominion Collective was a massive military power. They had already destroyed 3 Kethrani colonies. The homeworld was surrounded. It would take a miracle to save them, but the humans brought something that the Kethrani did not expect. They brought creativity. They brought new ideas. They brought different ways of thinking about the problem. Seo-jun worked with Kethrani military strategists. He suggested tactics that were unusual. Instead of direct attacks, he suggested small, fast strikes. Instead of fighting in big groups, he suggested fighting in small teams that could move quickly and create confusion. The Kethrani military officers listened to these ideas, and many of them worked. Over the next 3 weeks, humans and Kethrani fought together. They fought in space. They fought on colonies. They defended settlements. And slowly they started to win small victories. The Dominion Collective was surprised by these new tactics. They were used to fighting the Kethrani in a certain way, but the humans fought differently. Then Jae-hee, a young human researcher, discovered something important in the Kethrani archives. She found ancient records about a superweapon. The weapon was left by an extinct civilization called the Architects. The weapon was a massive shield system that could prevent faster-than-light travel in an entire region of space. In other words, it could trap the Dominion ships and stop them from getting help. The weapon was real, but it was very far away. It was hidden on an ancient installation in a dangerous area of space. To get there, the humans and Kethrani would have to fight through many Dominion forces. Teo, a human pilot and military commander, led a special operation to reach the installation. It was the most dangerous mission yet. 50 human soldiers and 200 Kethrani warriors flew toward the installation together. The battle was terrible. The Dominion Collective threw everything they had at the mission. Ships crashed. Soldiers died. But the humans and Kethrani kept pushing forward. They fought with everything they had. Il-sung, the old weapons specialist, gave his life during the battle. He held a position so that others could pass through. He fired his weapons until the end. He died a warrior's death, but his sacrifice meant something. The humans and Ketharani reached the installation. They reached the ancient superweapon. At that moment, Teo looked back and thought of Il-sung. He looked at the soldiers around him, both human and Ketharani, and he knew they would make the sacrifice count. The installation was ready to be activated. The installation was massive. Mi-Jin had never seen anything so large or so old. The walls were made of a material that was not metal and not stone. It seemed to glow with a faint light that came from inside the structure itself. The architects had built this place millions of years ago, and it was still standing. It was still working. Mi-Jin was a technician. She had spent her whole career fixing Earth machines and equipment. But this was something completely different. This was technology that was ancient and advanced beyond anything she had ever seen. Beside her was Hana, a young prodigy with an incredible memory. Hana could see something once and remember it perfectly. She could speak 5 languages fluently. She was only 24 years old, but she had the knowledge of someone much older. The two of them had been chosen to activate the weapon. Time was running out. Outside the installation, humans and Ketharani soldiers were fighting to keep the Dominion Collective away. The battle was happening right now. Every minute counted. If they did not activate the weapon soon, everyone outside would die. "Can you see it?" Taemin asked. Taemin was an expert on ancient alien civilizations. He had studied civilizations that nobody else remembered. He had knowledge that had been almost lost. Now his knowledge was more valuable than anyone expected. "I can see the main control panel," Hana said, pointing toward the center of the installation, "but I cannot read all the symbols. Some of them are damaged. Some of them are in languages I have never seen before." The architects used several different symbol systems, Taemin explained. They lived so long ago that their writing changed multiple times. "We have to find the primary activation sequence. It should be somewhere in the central system." Mi-Jin walked toward the control panel. She could hear explosions outside the installation. The battle was very close now. Soldiers were dying to protect them while they worked. She reached the panel and placed her hands on it. The panel was warm. Strange. A panel this old should not be warm. Unless the installation was still powered. Somehow, after millions of years, it was still receiving power from somewhere deep inside. "Can you read any of this?" Hana asked, coming to stand beside Mi-Jin. "I am trying," Mi-Jin said. She closed her eyes for a moment. Then she opened them again. "The symbols here. I think I can guess what they mean. Look at this pattern. It looks like it might be a countdown sequence. And this one. This looks like it might control the shield system. The ancient AI should still be functional," Taemin said. He was looking at ancient records on a portable device. "If we can access it, it might help us." Hana walked around the installation looking at the walls and the equipment. Her memory was working. She was seeing patterns. She was seeing how everything was connected. "There," she said suddenly, pointing at a place on the wall. "There is a communication point. The AI might respond if we activate it." Mi-Jin went to the point that Hana had identified. She touched it carefully. At first, nothing happened. Then the installation began to hum. The light in the walls became brighter. A voice came from the speakers. It was not a human voice. It was not a Ketharani voice. It was something else entirely. Something ancient. Something that had been sleeping for millions of years. The AI was waking up. "The AI system is active," a voice said in English. But it was not real English. It was somehow translated by the ancient system to be understandable to them. "What is required?" "We need to activate the shield system," Taemin said. He was nervous but trying to stay calm. "We need to trap hostile military forces in this region of space." There was a pause. The AI seemed to be thinking. "This action is irreversible," the AI said. "Once activated, the shield will remain active for 10,000 cycles. It cannot be turned off by any system other than the central core, which is located in the deep levels of this installation." "Are you certain you wish to proceed?" 10,000 cycles. That was 10,000 years. But they did not need it for 10,000 years. They only needed it for a few weeks. A few months at most. Once the Dominion Collective was defeated, they could figure out how to turn off the shield. "Yes," Mi-Jin said. "We are certain." The AI paused again. "I sense that you are not the creators of this installation. You are not the architects." "Who are you?" We are from Earth, Mijin said. We are humans and we are Kethrani. We are fighting for our lives. Earth, the AI repeated. I have records of Earth. It is a young world. The inhabitants are a young species. But I see determination. I see courage. I see loyalty. These are good qualities. The architects valued these qualities. Please, Anna said. Please help us. We have soldiers dying outside. We have families waiting at home. We have promises to keep. For a moment there was silence. Then the AI spoke again. I will help you, it said. I will activate the shield. I will do this because I recognize the value of loyalty. It is rare in the universe. It is precious. You are worthy of my assistance. The installation began to shake. Not in a bad way, but in a way that felt like something enormous was waking up. Power was flowing through the ancient machinery. Systems that had been inactive for millions of years were starting to work. The activation sequence is beginning, the AI announced. However, you must input the master code. Without it, the system will abort. What is the code? Mijin asked. The code is displayed on the central control panel, the AI said. There are 32 symbols. They must be entered in the correct sequence. You have limited time. Mijin looked at the control panel. 32 symbols. She did not know what they were. She did not know what order they went in. It seemed impossible. Then Hana stepped forward. I know this, Hana said quietly. I have seen this pattern before. In the ancient records. In the symbols from the previous room. This is a mathematical sequence. It is the architect's way of counting. I can do this. Hana moved to the control panel. Her fingers began to move across the symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4. She moved quickly with confidence. She was remembering. She was using that incredible mind of hers to remember everything she had learned. Outside, the battle was getting worse. They could hear the sound of weapons firing. They could hear explosions. They could hear soldiers screaming. Hana continued entering the code. 20, 25, 30. The final symbol, the AI announced. 32. Make your final selection. Hana touched the last symbol. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire installation lit up like the sun. A brilliant light filled every room. The walls began to glow with energy. And outside in space, something extraordinary happened. A massive shield appeared. It was blue and green and beautiful. It stretched across an enormous area of space. The shield surrounded the entire Dominion collective fleet. The Dominion ships could not escape. They were trapped. The shield is now active, the AI announced. All faster-than-light travel is prohibited within this region. The Dominion collective forces are now isolated. Mijin felt tears in her eyes. They had done it. They had actually done it. The shield was working. The weapon that the architects had built millions of years ago was working again. Humans and Kethrani together had activated an ancient power that would change everything. We did it, Hana whispered. Yes, Mijin said. We did. Outside, the humans and Kethrani soldiers saw the shield appear. They saw what it meant. The trapped Dominion ships could not escape. The war was not over, but they had a chance now. They had hope. The ancient installation continued to hum with power. The architect's final gift to the universe was being used, and it would save them all. 6 months had passed since the ancient shield was activated. The Dominion collective had been defeated. Their fleet was destroyed. Their military was scattered. The war was over. The Kethrani were alive. Their civilization would continue. Now a delegation from the Kethrani had come to Earth. They came on official ships with official representatives to thank the human race. It was a historic moment. News cameras filled the streets. Millions of people watched the ceremony. Kethnar, the last surviving member of the Kethrani Council, stood in front of the Earth government. Behind him were other Kethrani leaders. In front of him were the leaders of Earth, looking nervous and uncertain. The Kethrani remember, Kethnar said in his old voice. We remember when your people were young. We remember when we helped you survive. We remember this act of loyalty even after 120 years. But you gave us something we did not expect. You gave us loyalty in return. He paused and looked directly at the cameras. The Kethrani offer you a gift. We are sharing all of our scientific knowledge, all of our technology, all of our research. For 120 years we kept these secrets, but now we give them to you. You have proven that you are worthy of this gift. You have proven that humans are a species that can be trusted. You have proven that loyalty means something to you. The Earth government accepted the gift with tears and respect. Within days, human scientists were receiving information that would change everything. Technology that would take humans 100 years to develop on their own was now available immediately. Human medicine would advance rapidly. Human energy systems would become cleaner and more powerful. Human technology would jump forward by many decades. But the real gift was not the technology. The real gift was the respect. Other alien civilizations had watched what humans did. They had seen Earth volunteers sacrifice everything to help the Kethrani. They had seen humans do something that very few species did. They had seen humans remember loyalty. They had seen humans honor ancient debts. Within weeks, Earth received official communications from 3 other alien civilizations. They wanted to trade with Earth. They wanted to make alliances with Earth. They wanted to get to know this young species that valued loyalty and honor so highly. Back on Earth, the volunteers who had served on the Remembrance were celebrated as heroes. Da Young was given command of a new ship, an advanced exploration vessel. Min-ae was offered the position of chief engineer for Earth's new space program. Kyung-ho was honored as a medical pioneer who had worked alongside the Kethrani to develop new treatments for diseases that had plagued Earth for centuries. Ji-ho, the old historian who had started everything, was given a new position. He was made the official keeper of Earth's history with the Kethrani. His job was to document the alliance to make sure the story was never forgotten, and to teach young people about the importance of loyalty and remembering. But not everyone celebrated. There was sadness, too. Many people had died during the mission. Hundreds of families had lost loved ones. A monument was built to honor the dead. Their names were carved into stone. Thousands of people came to read the names, to remember the faces, to cry for those who had sacrificed everything. Il-sung's name was at the top of the list of honored soldiers. His family came to the monument and placed flowers there. His grandson read his name out loud and promised to remember what his grandfather had done. 1 year after the war ended, Da Jung received a special message. It came from the Kethrani government. They wanted to invite her to a ceremony on the Kethrani homeworld. They wanted to officially make her a Kethrani hero, the first human to ever receive this honor. Da Jung traveled to the Kethrani homeworld. When she arrived, thousands of Kethrani people were waiting to greet her. They sang songs of appreciation. They danced. They welcomed her as a sister. Kethnar was still alive, though he was very old now. He placed a golden crown on Da Jung's head. "You are a hero of the Kethrani people," he said. "You will always be remembered. Your children will be remembered. Your grandchildren will be remembered. For 1,000 years your name will be spoken with respect," Da Jung cried. She thought of Il-sung and all the others who had died. She thought of the 500 volunteers who had risked everything. She thought of the families who had lost loved ones. She thought of Earth, the planet that had forgotten the Kethrani, and then remembered again at just the right moment. Back on Earth, something unexpected happened. Young people began joining the military and the space programs in record numbers. They wanted to be like Da Jung. They wanted to be like the volunteers who had served on the Remembrance. They wanted to make a difference. They wanted to help others. They wanted to be brave. A new culture developed on Earth. Instead of focusing only on themselves, humans began thinking about the larger galaxy. Instead of thinking only about money and power, humans began thinking about loyalty and honor. Instead of fighting with each other, humans began working together toward common goals. But Ji-ho discovered something else in the old archives. Something important. In the architect's ancient files, there was a warning. The warning said that an even greater threat was coming, something even more dangerous than the Dominion Collective, something that would threaten all civilizations. The warning was old and unclear, but it was definitely there. When this discovery was announced, Earth's leaders were nervous. What could be more dangerous than the Dominion Collective? What threat could be so serious? Da Young was asked to lead a new mission, a mission to gather information about this ancient threat, a mission that would require her to travel deeper into space than ever before, a mission that would require cooperation from humans, Kethrani, and all the other alien civilizations that had become Earth's friends. Da Jung accepted immediately. She thought about loyalty and honor. She thought about humans remembering debts. She thought about how far they had come in just 1 year. She gathered a new crew. Some members had served on the Remembrance. Some were new volunteers. Some were Kethrani. Some were from other civilizations. They were ready for the next challenge. As the new ship lifted off from Earth, a young girl watched from her window. She was the granddaughter of Ilsung. She was only 8 years old, but she remembered her grandfather's stories. She remembered his courage. She knew that the same spirit that had saved the Kethrani would save them again. She promised herself that when she grew up, she would join the Space Force. She would become a pilot or a soldier or a scientist. She would continue her grandfather's legacy. She would remember loyalty. She would help others. And somewhere in the universe, in a place that nobody had found yet, something ancient was waiting. The architect's warning was real. The danger was real. But humans had proven something important. Humans could be loyal. Humans could be brave. Humans could change the course of history through kindness and honor. The story was not over. It was only beginning. Earth and all the civilizations that had become their friends would face this new danger together. And humans, the young species that had remembered an ancient debt, would lead the way. Because humans did not forget. And humans paid their debts. In wild and unforeseen ways, humans would keep their promises and honor their commitments. This was the beginning of a new era. This was the time when the galaxy would learn that loyalty was not weakness. Loyalty was strength, and humans had strength that nobody expected.